favourite reads of 2025. And I'm going to say Sally Hepworth's Mabel, all right? Best reads of 2025. And I haven't finished it yet. And I'm going to say that because I'm in love with Elsie. I don't know why we don't write about 81-year-old Australian women more. Everyone goes, how do I find my voice? And it's like, you are your voice. It's what makes all these books so wonderfully different. Sally Hepworth, it is such an honour for me to be sitting down with someone I feel is one of the most consistently excellent writers we have in Australia. I'm a fan. It's a real pleasure to actually have my first sit down in this setting. Firstly, can I ask how you're doing? How's your writing life? Where are you at with your writing life? And then you've got to tell me what your favourite reads of 2025 are.
Oh, well, that's a lovely introduction. And I kind of feel like we have met, even though we haven't, because, you know, this wonderful world of social media and of course, all of your books, which I just adore. You are so beloved in the Australian community and you're just as nice as you know, people say. So far.
That's good to know. Yeah, we've got about half an hour to get through. So.
We'll report back on that.
Tell me favourite reads of 2025.
Well, one I know was 2025 was Jessica Detman's, it's called Your Friend and Mine, and she's an Australian author. I think it's her fourth book, and she balances rom-com with this other kind of more deeper, profound message about friendship, and it's all set around a woman who receives an email from her dead best friend who died 20 years earlier, and she's got this email that gives her a list of instructions of things that she wants her to do.
Brilliant.
And I won't say too much more, but it's just poignant and it's just beautiful and it makes you reflect on your life. And that was one that that really changed me, because I think that people can point to literary novels often as books that change them. They absolutely can. But I also think sometimes it's these, you know, a rom-com can change you, or a sci-fi. We're all different, aren't we?
I have this really important thing about we cannot afford to be snobby with our reading and our celebration of any Australian writer.
Yeah.
It's so important. We just cannot mess around with what is literary and what is romance. It's just, is it moving? Yes. Did it work for you? Did it make you laugh? Did it change your day? And it's like, great book, you know, and that just sounds incredible.
And look, the other book I read, which I'm not sure was this year, but it was called The Frozen River by Ariel Lawson. And that book, I've thought so much about why it was so good, because on the surface, it's a story about a body that's found in the frozen river, and the person who was found is sort of not a good guy, and they have to decide whether they're going to chuck him back in or not.
Oh, damn. I love it.
And it's a beautiful story. It's sort of a love story. It's about time. You know, like all books, it's about a lot of things. Yeah. I think they'd probably be my two standouts for this year.
I'm going to say Orbital, that won the Booker Prize, and I'm going to say that because it was just a reading experience I had flying from New Zealand back to Brisbane. And I just read the heck out of it, and it was an amazing book to read while you're in the air, because it's all about a shuttle crew, you know, going around the Earth and just thinking about, you know, distancing yourself from this planet and kind of looking at this beautiful world in a different way. And that's, you know, the book does that just unbelievably. Yeah. And then I'm going to say, this has got nothing to do with the company that I'm in. I'm going to say Sally Hepworth's Mabel, all right? Best reads of 2025. And I haven't finished it yet. But and I'm going to say that because I'm in love with Elsie. I just think, I don't know why we don't write about 81-year-old Australian women more. The reason I love her is just I just know so many, and it just reminds me of people I miss and I've lost. And my best mate's mum, I wrote a whole book called Love Stories based around a woman who reminded me of Elsie. So thank you for that. And thank you for what you're about to give Australia with Mabel.
Oh, see, this is why you're so beloved in Australia.
Well, I went the easy way. I said the book of the woman sitting opposite me. Yeah.
Trent, this summer, when people are lying on the beach, what do you think they should be reaching for?
Oh, imagine the waves rolling, sun shining, the smell of, you know, sun cream.
Margaritas. Sun cream.
Smell of what?
Margaritas.
Smell of margaritas.
Hopefully.
And you crack open Mad Mabel. Are you kidding me? Better yet, sitting on a porch like Elsie and looking at a neighbourhood go by, reading Mad Mabel. Pretty nice way to spend the summer, I reckon.
Yeah, not to be too self-indulgent, I was going to say Gravity Let Me Go.
You are so sweet.
It is such an amazing book, and you've got such a fan base, and this is going to keep people so happy because each one of your books builds on the last one, and that's what we hope to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
We kind of hate it when people say, I really loved your second book.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sally, that's a deeply lovely thing to say, and it's absolutely cuts to the heart of where I'm at. You can read every one of my books and know who I am as a person, and where I am in life. They are all connected and they do build upon each other. So absolutely
you feel
spot
that.
on. Yeah, thank you.
That.
That's a lovely thing to say. All right, question for you. Best opening line in a book, Sally?
It's actually a book that just came out, and it was something like, I can't stop thinking about her collarbone. And then as it went on, she actually wanted to gnaw on her collarbone. What a kind of big first line. It was called Big Feelings is the book by Amy Lovett.
Oh, right.
And it just made me think, gosh, collarbones are a really sexy part of the body. I hadn't really given it any thought. And the way she went on about it, I kind of was sold on collarbones and the book.
Oh, wonderful.
It's so gorgeous. And I've never read a book that starts like that.
Don't you love that stuff about the human body, though?
Yes.
Yeah, like I've got parts of my wife's body that I just go, that is that bit there.
She's got a beautiful ear.
That left ear.
Elbow. Do you have a favourite opening line?
I'm going to say my dear friend Holly Ringland, the opening of Lost Flowers of Alice Hart. And like people get this thing tattooed on their arms, like I've seen it. It's become this sort of iconic kind of opening line, and I'm going to spoil it. I'm so sorry, Holly, but it's something like, in the house down the lane lived the girl, and then it ends with that girl setting someone on fire.
Yeah.
It's just this sock 'em in the jaw opening line, and if you read that book, you're just in. And it's literally one sentence, and it's the power of an opening sentence.
And every sentence that follows it is just perfect.
It's really good too.
Amazing,
that's so
Holly.
true. Yeah, she's brilliant.
And
She's
also
brilliant.
a beautiful person.
Oh man, unbelievable! Like you and her, like vying for like setting the benchmark for just good human beings on the author circuit.
So tell me this, Trent, what books do you love reading to your kids? Are you still reading books to your kids?
No. We're watching Arrested Development now. We're under that sort of phase. My daughters are 18 and 16, but it's a beautiful question because it brings me back instantly to like a favourite period in my life. And all the books I always loved were The Gruffalo and Harry McClary from Donaldson's Dairy. What's that book?
Classic.
I think that's what the book's called. I can't remember.
That's what it's
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Hercules Morse as big as a horse.
Yeah.
And we would
Schnitzel von Krumm with the very low tum.
Very low tum, you know it. I reckon like every Australian Generation X parent knows the whole rhyme to Harry McClary, and that's what got them into books. And then whilst they were doing that, they were learning the powers of rhythm, of writing and poetry and all these amazing other things. And then Where is the Green Sheep? Anything by Mem Fox.
Classic.
And that woman is a goddess to me. I've gotten to know Mem Fox, and she sends handwritten 3-page letters that land in my letterbox in Brisbane every now and then. And it's just checking in on me, just going, how you doing, mate? It's Mem Fox. And I put them up on the fridge, and the girls worship her as well. So that's just this ongoing kind of family love of Mem Fox that comes from those days, yeah.
Yeah, she's fantastic, isn't she?
What about you?
All of those. But, it's funny now that, so I have a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Oh, man. Wow. Congratulations. That's just the full, like you're still in the thick of it. You're still in the thick of it.
Well, my 8-year-old is still keeping me on my toes. But it's nice now because we've moved into chapter books. And, one of the ones that I'm reading now with my daughter Clementine is Anne of Green Gables, which was such a favourite of mine growing up. Having read that as a child myself, it's so interesting to come back and read it, and also to see how differently we write now. I feel like our attention spans are shorter now because, my daughter was getting a bit bored as we really got a lot of descriptions.
It's tough, right? And you realise how into books we must have been when we were 8. Like we would just go with anything for so long. So did Clementine stick with it?
She did. I made her. And that's a little bit more time with Mum.
On your Clementine. That's great. That's
And the other ones that also were my childhood classics were the Enid Blyton series, The Naughtiest Girl in the School, which
right.
I loved. And
But it's if you're passionate about it, I figure they'll get passionate. Hey, that's just how it works. My daughter just recently read The Book Thief. And to have her, like, it was so funny. She's like, Dad, it's so much better than Boy Swallows Universe. I'm like, hey, settle down. Stop that. Rightly so, fair comment.
Do you have a book that made you want to become a writer?
I do have a book. It was The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, a book about social classes and a book that reminds you that you can find love within whatever unit you can find. Whatever you've got is good enough as long as there's love existing in that little group. And then the last 2 pages of that book, Sally, I'm telling you, I became like a social affairs journalist because of it. Like, there's an act of kindness in the last 2 pages of that book. This character the last person you'd expect to do this incredible act of kindness does this act of kindness, and you just go, okay, there's my true north. Like, that's how to be as a human. And that set the tone for the type of journalist I became and tried to be. What was the book that made you become a writer?
Probably the one that I read closest to starting to write, and the one I think that I've continued to want to write, this book, is The Husband's Secret by Liane Moriarty.
Oh, wow.
And that story is so compulsive in that, in the first page, we've got a woman who's found an envelope and it says on it, to Cecilia, open in the event of my death. And the whole first chapter, she's trying to decide whether to open it or not.
Brilliant. I'm in. I'm so in.
Yeah. And it just puts tension into this very, I think this is why they call it domestic suspense, but this very relatable setting. And that was, I think, the one that made me pick up the pen or, go to the computer.
You are damn prolific. Can I ask you, I've always wanted to know about that. You do seem to be just, very disciplined. Is that something you really, or is it just a compulsion?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I do write every day, not Christmas Day. I'm not Stephen King.
Stephen King, 1,000 words Christmas Day.
But I love it. I love writing books. Someone asked me recently, if you won enough money that you didn't have to work anymore, would you? And everyone's no. And I thought, I don't know if I could not write another book.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know what I would do with myself. I don't have any other life skills, and so I really hoped that the writing thing would work out.
Yeah.
But it's my job. People probably say to you all the time, do you treat writing like a job? I always think, well, do you treat being a dentist like a job, Phil?
Yeah. Like you get I just dropped around because I know you don't have a real job. It's like, man, this is my job.
Can you take Grandma to the doctor on Thursday?
Yeah. Do you ask Phil, the dentist?
That's a hard one, especially if you're procrastinating, because then you're like,
I can. I will take. Yeah, in fact, I'll stay with her for 3 days just to avoid the self-loathing that my normal 9 to 5.
Dreadful thing on my computer.
That's the thing about the, if you won the lotto thing, it's like the one thing that would make you tempted to not write another book is just I get a lot of fear. I get a lot of angst, self-torture. Like, it's awful, with the whole publication thing and just like, you know what I mean? That's one thing. But then all of the other things are too beautiful not to. Like, why would you stop yourself from doing that?
But yeah, I think that the self-loathing, no question, is part of it. Find me an author that doesn't have a healthy amount of self-loathing.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. I'm so happy that, it's...
Is it essential to writing? I think it is writing a good book.
I mean, it goes deep with me, Sally, because it's just like youngest sibling of 4, just always I was trying to make people happy. I just want someone to be happy with something I've done. They're not always going to be happy.
No.
That's not the worst thing.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's not the worst thing. No. And I think the more books you sell, the more people you're going to make unhappy.
That's so true.
And hopefully
you're
happy.
So right.
But,
what a strange dichotomy. That's awful.
It's almost the key to success is kind of getting okay with that. And the more reviews you get, the more 1-star reviews you'll get. This is sobering, isn't it?
Shit, that's really You're the best.
Sorry about that.
Thanks for the hard truths, Sally Hepworth.
But I think it's funny, you were saying prolific. I'm always moving. I am always writing a book. Yes. And I wonder how much of that helps me outrun the fear a little bit.
Yeah, brilliant.
I think that does help because by the time a book comes out, I've already written another one.
Yeah, can't even catch me. Can't even catch me. Didn't even feel it. Didn't even feel that sting. I'm way ahead.
I mean, you feel it, sometimes when you do see Phil and he, says, I saw that bad review you got in the Sydney Morning Herald, and you think, come on, Phil, what do you do for a
Phil
job?
the dentist.
Yeah.
No, I'm hearing you. No, that's so true. That's so true. Sally, how has the psychological thriller genre evolved since you began writing, and where do you see it heading?
It's such a great question because I never set out to write psychological thrillers. In fact, when I realised I was writing psychological thrillers was when I saw my book shelved in crime at a bookstore.
It's like that book, I didn't know. It was, right.
And I thought, gee, that makes me much cooler than I am.
Oh, it's kind of amazing. Like you're joining like a history of like Elmore Leonard and, like it's pretty amazing. Like that's pretty cool.
Well, I didn't sort of realise, and I think that the thing about genre, it really doesn't come into it. I write the books I write.
Yeah.
And I think now, especially the more books you have, and your books are so, you can tell within a couple of sentences that you're reading a Trent Dalton book, right?
Oh, that's
in
nice.
the best way.
Yeah.
And I hope that's true of people reading a Sally Hepworth book. We've got a voice now and that people recognise. And maybe that becomes its own genre.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, right, I have to write a psychological thriller. This is how it's going to look. For example, with Mad Mabel, I think, gosh, grandmas and little girls, people don't think that they've murdered people very often. That's a book.
That's right.
That's interesting to me. And so then the book follows as opposed to sort of retrofitting that. I mean, what do you think?
Oh, completely. And it's like, I love throwing 5 genres in one book because you're just telling a story. Because that's how stories go, right? When you're at a pub and someone tells you a story and it goes for half an hour, it's got romance maybe, it's got tragedy, it's got crime, it might have laughter and humour, and it might have...
Someone will decide it's literary.
Exactly, someone might say it's literary. Yeah, that's right. It's just storytelling is how I see it, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny.
What genre are your books? Like, how would they...
It was funny, I remember sitting with my editor, Catherine Milne, and I was so green, Sally, like I was such a rube. And I told her over coffee, I was like, I've got this story like from my own past. When I was a kid, Catherine, my brothers and I found this secret room underneath this drug dealer, like this guy we loved who was kind of raising us. He had a secret room, Catherine. And my brothers and I found this red telephone inside that room and it blew our minds. And we found out that he was this heroin dealer and he went away for 10 years to Bogger Road Prison. And then my mum kind of went away and totally did. And I missed her. And I want to write a story about a boy breaking into Bogger Road Women's Prison to tell his mum on Christmas Day that he loves her. And that's just me, like that just comes from real life. Like that's just a thought, when I'm 8 years old, just going, oh, mum's not around, she must be really missing her 4 sons. Then Catherine goes, oh, it sounds like a great coming of age novel. And I was like, oh, is that what it is? Okay, right, all right, I'll write that.
Whereas comes second, Yeah,
it does. It totally, I just didn't know it was anything. Like I just considered it like it was a story that comes from love. That's the way you've got to go. I think you've just got to go, here's the story and do your best. You tell me what you think it is. And if you think it's that, then it is that.
Yeah, we have enough thoughts in our head, thanks very much.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Although I've tried to pitch, it hasn't taken off, family dysfunctionality with a side serve of murder. That's kind of what...
You know what? Gravity Let Me Go is family dysfunctionality with a side serving of murder.
Yeah.
It actually is. Can I go on your
shelf?
We could
shelf some, yes.
Well, that's the thing about psychological thrillers in Australia, though. I have been deeply impressed in the past 10 years. Yourself, Jane Harper.
Jane's amazing.
Leanne, I just think in psychological thriller, Australians just punch way above their weight across the world. Chris Hammer, just these amazing... far out,
Dervs. Yep. And even with the authors you just mentioned, there's so many different kinds of crime stories, from Leanne to Chris Hammer to, we all do it our own way. And I always think, really new authors, and I probably was like this, they're so worried that you'll steal their idea. And I always think you could give the same idea to you and to me and to Jane and to Chris and to Dervla.
Oh, you're so right.
There would be 5 different stories. They wouldn't even resemble each other.
Absolutely. This is why I talk about voice. Everyone goes, how do I find my voice? And it's like, you are your voice.
Yeah.
You know, no one has lived your life out of the 8 billion people on this earth. No one has your voice because no one has experienced what you've experienced. No one's lost the people you've lost, and no one's kissed the people you've kissed, and no one's, you know, been in fights with the people you've been in fights with. It's like, that's where your voice comes from, and that's what makes all these books so wonderfully different.
Yeah.
What techniques, Sally, do you use to balance sympathetic character traits with darker elements?
Techniques. Do you know what I think is so funny? I was interviewing another author recently, and Jane Harper was in the crowd, and she put up her hand and asked a craft question to me and, you know, the other author that I was in.
Brilliant.
And I was like, we are all desperate to know how to do it. You know, even the ones like us that people are looking at for advice, well, we don't know.
Yeah.
I'm so kind of taken by the idea that someone knows, and I just have to ask the right question, and Trent Dalton will tell me how to write a book. Or
No, I'm like,
techniques.
are you still using Microsoft Word 98? Like, is there a better program I can write on?
Do you plot your book?
Yeah.
Do you do research? It's just, you know, Jane, I think, has actually done a TED talk about the way that she writes books, and it's quite specific. And I've never felt like more of a failure than when I looked at that.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of that. I know.
So now, whenever anyone asks me how to write a book, I say, ask Jane Harper.
Good. I'm going to answer that at every edge.
She knows.
Ask Jane Harper.
I think that so much of it comes from gut feel now. And probably my first couple of books, I maybe looked at it from more of a surgical way of, you know, this person's coming across too unlikable, or, you know, we need to do something. But now it's just instinctual. I feel like I know the characters. I knew Elsie and what she would and wouldn't do. That just comes from the gut. I don't know that you can use a technique.
Yeah, I love those type of questions, because this sort of grey area between what's good and what's bad is just something I write in all my books, and it's something I'm fascinated in. And when I was a kid, I was always puzzled by. I took love from, like, honestly, like, dangerous men that I didn't know were dangerous, and I like loved them dearly. And I just remember this guy who raised me as a young boy and raised my brothers early days. We loved him so much, and then to find out when you're 18 that, oh right, he was like, he went away for a long time for all these very valid reasons. Or like a Slim Halliday, who was this escaped convict who was like our babysitter guy, but I loved him dearly, and he like killed a guy. How could I, as a human and as a boy, feel so much love for that guy who was so, on paper, definition of bad? And, you know, I'm totally fascinated with that, and I try and put that in every character that I write. Exactly what you're saying, and just go with the gut, and you care about them so much, and I reckon it makes it really interesting, because that's life, right? Don't we know so many people that we just go, oh man, I love you so much, but you keep doing that thing and you can't get out of it, but I'm here still. I'm still here, and I still love you, and you're unbelievable. And it's like, that's life, right? That's
life. And isn't that why we read? I mean, the complexity of character. I have been so educated on the different things that you could be judgmental on. You know, that person, you know, killed someone, but their mother still loves them. They still love their children. Those really kind of earnest things that make us human. And you do that so well in your books. It's something that does actually, you read your books and you come away a kinder, more empathetic person. And that's what great fiction does, and that's what your books do.
That's really great. Is it Brené Brown? Yeah, she said that amazing thing. If you think you hate them, move closer.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
And that books help us move closer.
They do.
Yeah, move closer into other humans that we don't fully understand yet. Absolutely. Oh, you're bringing me closer to Elsie, you know, and that was that beautiful turning point when you go back with Elsie. You know, she told that beautiful Persephone to F off the kid in the street. You know that she's had to be hard, you know, and then you, of course, find out why she's so hard. Yeah, and I love that. That's human nature. And all you need to work out the motivations of anyone is to spend more time with them and truly listen to them.
Trent, I think I know the answer to this one. But tell us, how much of your own experiences and observations inform your character development, and maybe talk specifically around gravity?
All right. Yeah. I kind of realise now I just have to write from a place of truth, and I don't know why. It's like to the point where I'll think about writing a story set in Nantucket or something, but I always go back to Brisbane, Australia, you know, Gravity Let Me Go is a story about a journo in his mid-40s. He's a father of 2 teenage girls. He's married to a really beautiful yet an incredibly patient wife who has to put up with his storytelling disease, his addiction.
So completely made up.
Completely made up. Completely. I don't know where this guy came from. I wrote this story, Sally, because I wanted to speak to my faults, like my utter faults as a husband and flaws. For 25 years, Fee has been living with this guy who she's talking to in the kitchen, and she's telling me something really important about the book fair costume that I need to prepare for tomorrow. But I'm in my head thinking about some kid in World War II Darwin for my second novel, you know, and it's just a terrible affliction. And so what comes of it is Gravity Let Me Go, the story of a mid-40s journo who becomes so obsessed with the true crime scoop of his lifetime that he's in danger of missing an even bigger scoop. And that's the scoop that's unfolding inside his very own home. I find it so powerful. And, you know, already a few people have read Gravity and they're like, it's really personal, isn't it? I'm like, no, not necessarily. And it's like, totally personal. You know, what did you come to the desk for? You come to give them some piece of yourself. I do, you know. I think the reader deserves it sometimes, you know. Not all the time if you don't think you want to give it at that particular time, but it's like I sort of made a pact with myself and all those beautiful people at High Point Shopping Centre who come up, you know, here they go, thank you, I gave the time of that. All right, well, you're going to get a lot of me. Yes. You're going to get a lot of me. And because I'm so grateful to you, you know, and so it's...
I'm the same.
I'm constantly the 12-year-old boy who went through Boy Swallows Universe. I'm just that kid. I draw so much from that, Sally. Now I'm drawing from this, weirdly, I'm drawing from Eli Bell, this fictional character I create. I draw from him now. It's weird. Who was based on 12-year-old me. You know? So it's become this weird, cyclical, strange, creative well that I'm constantly drawing from because it was so rich with real emotion. What about yourself?
I was just thinking how many writers or perhaps artists in general are guilty of so often when I'm with my kids, you're getting half of me because half of me is somewhere else and with these characters, and I feel terrible guilt about that.
Sal, I'm so glad you say it. I'm so glad I'm not alone there. Like it is a real thing, and I remember distinctly I write in my downstairs rumpus area, which used to be where the kids would play. At this moment, I remember writing a book and I saw my youngest daughter skipping rope. She must have been 8 at this point or something. She was skipping rope beyond the louvers of this rumpus room where I'm tapping away in my...
Just thunk.
And exactly. She's like doing the, you know. And I remember just going, but there's just no way anything I'm going to put on this page is better than going outside and freaking hugging that girl to death, right? Like, and just going, you are the best skipper I have seen ever, you know. And it's just like, it's the half of me thing. It's real. Yeah, it's real. And it's tormenting, you know. I wrote a whole book about it. Yeah.
And I think every writer will also identify with that. Oh, now we are going to go into rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Okay. Trent, did Netflix getting Boy Swallows Universe influence your writing of Gravity Let Me Go?
That's a really interesting question, and I get asked that a bit, like, are you now just writing for Hollywood?
Yeah.
No. I'll tell you what it does. I tell you what it does. It just made me think that anything is possible.
Yeah.
And don't even think for a second that your little stories set in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia don't belong in Canada and Poland, you know, where that story went. And that's where Netflix took that story. That's what was unbelievable to me. You know, you talk about feedback. I got it. I'll tell you this. This kid in South Korea, he read Boy Swallows Universe and he sends me, he just goes, sorry to DM you on Instagram. He said, I just want you to know I read this book, Boy Swallows Universe. I have no idea where Darra, Brisbane, Queensland, Australia is, but I just wanted you to know that because I read that book, I've decided to live to adulthood.
Oh.
That, I know, man, I may get teary, sorry, but that beautiful boy.
Gosh.
Just changed everything. And that's what Netflix were talking about. They were just going, a love story is a love story is a love story. A family story is a family story is a family story. So that's the great lessons I take from, you know, people growing up in really underclass places across the world just going, oh man, that's my family. You know, we don't know what a bloody wheelie bin is, but we know what love is. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
It's universal.
Yeah. What inspired the characters of Mad Mabel?
Well, I met an old lady at one of my events who told me that she was thinking about murdering her next door neighbour over an argument to do with the fence line. And I said, oh, how are you going to do it? Because, you know, we need this kind of information. And she said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know that I'm going to get away with it. And
Holy smoke.
And I said, how do you know? And she said, because there are two groups of people that no one ever suspects of murder, old ladies and little girls.
I just got chills. Sally, that's unbelievable.
And that is a line in the book, and I said, thank you very much. That's my next book.
It's in there. It's in there. And
I think it's one of the
first page. And it's like so compelling though. Honestly, I read that and I shook my head and I went, that's brilliant.
That's where the book started.
So true. That's so true.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Tell me the most surreal moments since becoming a best-selling author.
Thank you for asking me this question. I'll try and tell this story in 40 seconds. I don't know if you're familiar with Pearl Jam. You know Pearl Jam.
I know Pearl Jam. Yeah,
Pearl Jam. Yeah, sorry. Okay, let's start this again. Sorry. Okay. A little band called Pearl Jam. They were gods to me. Eddie Vedder, the lead singer of Pearl Jam, he's the last person I acknowledge in the Boy Swallows universe acknowledgements before I thank my wife and kids. That's how much that man means to me, Sally. Don't even get me started on how much that man and that band means to me. Everything, like creatively, a lot of it comes from that band. So then last year, Gold Coast, Pearl Jam are touring Australia, and Eddie Vedder, before a little song called Severed Hand, which is about dismemberment, and Eli Bell in Boy Swallows universe loses his finger, and he goes, Gold Coast, I just want to shout out to two brothers that I've recently learned about, Eli and Gus Bell. And I was like, oh, Kathy's losing her mind. I'm hearing you, Kathy. That's how I felt. And honestly, you know the way people feel about Bob Dylan? That's how I feel about Eddie Vedder. You know the way people feel about Barack Obama? That's how I feel about Eddie Vedder. And it's like, he's mentioning my guys. He's mentioning my boys. So that was surreal. That was
extraordinary.
Surreal. And turned out there was rain on the Gold Coast and he was meant to be surfing, but he went back to his hotel room and watched Boy Swallows Universe.
Oh.
And he got 4 episodes in by the time he hit that stage. Anyway, most
That's
surreal
just so
moment
wild,
of
isn't
my
it?
entire life.
Oh, my goodness.
Can I ask you that most surreal moment on the journey so far?
Amazon, in fact, had chosen my book, The Good Sister, to be on a billboard in Times Square.
Stop. Shut the front door.
I know. And so, unfortunately, I wasn't there. I was at home in Melbourne.
Oh, you couldn't get there to sit,
no,
of course.
But that was one of those moments that I thought.
Do you ever think, I mean, go deep on this.
Yeah.
Like 8-year-old Sally Hepworth. Like, come on, man.
Of course, even 35-year-old Sally Hepworth.
Right,
you know, like it was not something that was on my dance card, and that was
moments
probably
like that though. That's just a yeah, man. I hope you think about that often.
Oh, I do.
You know, that must.
It was my screensaver for life.
Was it? That's beautiful. How do you craft those shocking plot twists?
Oh, I've just got a sick mind.
Is that right? Yeah, is that right?
And ADHD. I get bored very easily. I have ADHD. And I think that as soon as I'm getting bored in a book, that means that the reader will be bored. So I just throw something in. Yeah, I don't plan them. They just come up organically.
I love that ADHD, like it's just such a superpower.
It's very common in writers as well,
Is
artists
it?
in general. It's what makes us all mad. How do you balance journalism and novel writing?
Oh, I actually genuinely feel they're one and the same. They're in the same area for me. I started out as a journo at 20 and I was knocking on doors in the suburbs, like absolutely going into the suburbs that I write in my novels now. You know, Gravity Let Me Go is just a product of that. I would go to the darkest places of Brisbane and ask people to share with me their crimes. You know, a lot of the time you'd be writing, 4,000-word feature stories on the bloodiest, darkest stories, and it can't help but inform your fiction. And I'm deeply fascinated in journalism and in fiction by the great truth that there is a darkness that hides beneath the great Australian dream. You know, I think that's a really powerful place to investigate. I love that 70% of us live in these things we call the suburbs, and the most fascinating, unbelievable things happen in these places that are just green nature strips and white fences and wheelie bins and Toyota RAV people movers, and it's just darkness there sometimes, and I'm just deeply fascinated by that. And that all came from journalism. That all came from real world door knocking in the suburbs, asking people to let me into their living rooms and show me their lives. So yeah, I really completely feel they're one and the same for me, and that's where Gravity Let Me Go comes from. All right, Sally, favorite reaction from a reader to one of your plot reveals?
One reader told me after she read The Younger Wife, she took my book and used it to bludgeon her husband around the head because she decided that she didn't like men anymore.
Stop it.
I was so excited. Like, imagine someone killed someone with my book.
What
Like,
was the
that
murder
would be, I know.
It appears to be a blood-covered copy of The Soulmate by Sal. It just says Allie because the S is just covered in blood.
Yes.
By Allie Hepworth.
It would be.
Oh, wait. Sally Hepworth.
I wonder if I'd get to go to the trial.
Ms. Hepworth, do you believe the content of your novel led to the death of Mr. Fitzpatrick? Is there blood on your hands?
Accessory to the fact.
Straight to Silverwater.
No one used my book. Use Trent's. Well, this has been so fun. I think we could have talked all day.
Mate, I hope we can. Yeah, I think it's off to the pub.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's been a joy, Sally Hepworth. You're amazing and you're an inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you,
And it was amazing to hear you. 10 books in 10 years. That's just, all right, I've got to get to work.
I'm getting old. Thank you.
Thanks, Sally.